1. You are now live on Channel 8 and YouTube.
All right, thank you, Hannah. All right, the time is 4:30 PM on this October 22nd, 2024, and I will call this meeting of the Capital Improvements Committee for the Town of Templeton to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so here in the room is myself, Justice Graves, at-large member, Danielle Kirby, our Assistant Treasurer Collector, Tim Tope, our Select Board Representative, and Julie Richard did let me know that she might be a few minutes late, but she did communicate with me, so we will see. But so far, there's the three of us in the room. We have a quorum, and so we will proceed. So today's meeting, we have two requests that came in. One of which I know there was some discussion on another board, the Select Board, about this. Item number 2, buildings and grounds request for a mower in FY 2025. Bob, I don't know if you want to come up to the microphone and explain the request.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Bob Soers, Director of Public Services. Last year we put a capital in rotation of a tractor. And this summer, Parks and Recs had a tractor that was given to them from our rotation, and that tractor has a blown motor and it's an older tractor, not worth putting money into, so we combined the two for a rotation of a mower for buildings and grounds and to replace the tractor at Parks and Recs. Candace, they get quotes and I got quotes and I presented them to you, and you hopefully you have them this time in your package.
Yes, we do have. Yeah.
So between the two mowers, we're looking at $40,000. Buildings and grounds has been out of rotation for several years now. And stuff's starting to catch up with us as far as maintenance and repairs. They get many hours put on them with all the properties in Templeton that we do.
Right, is there anything that you want to add, Bob, or you good?
I think I'm good unless you guys have any questions on what I presented to you.
I think we'll probably have a few, but I'll open it up to the other committee members right now. Danielle, Tim, do you have anything about this request?
I just have a comment because I looked back through our report at the end of last year. And we were not able to fund the mower at that time, but it was coming in at 14,640. It's quite a jump to go to 20 grand. And I don't know, I don't have the specifics on the mower as was presented. In prepping for this, though, I was going back and looking backwards saying, what'd we miss here?
Last year I presented an estimate. I believe that was around 14 something. And that didn't pass, so we're in more need of a little bigger mower and replacing one of the other ones that are just fading out fast. So that's the one I presented with you. And that'd be the price difference.
Okay.
Tim, do you have any further comments?
No.
No, okay. Danielle? No, okay. I do have a couple, just because of I've seen the dialogue back and forth, and also just to ask a clarifying question. You said the funding year for the request is FY 26. Is this one of the mowers that's on the fall town meeting warrant tomorrow, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, so is it more correct in saying that this isn't a funding request for this year, FY 25?
Yes, what I
Yes.
presented on the last one, in the last packet, I put 24/25 because I didn't know how it was gonna go
Right.
through.
Okay,
And this one I did put for 25.
okay. And the only other thing, I don't think I have any other questions. I will say that I think, I didn't have the time to go back like Tim had, but when, I had saw this request come through, I was wondering if we had seen this before. I was just wondering if, like, for instance, when Parks and Recreation presented theirs, they were solely calling it a tractor, whereas you're calling it a mower on here. I know that on the town meeting warrant, it calls it a tractor. But we're all talking about the same thing from what I can see on the quote
Right,
and what we're looking on here.
The
Yeah,
Park and Recs, I worked with cameras on, showing her what would work best over there, and that's actually considered a tractor.
okay,
Buildings and Grounds is considered a mower. I had
okay,
capital I turned in before, and I write down the proper names and stuff, and somehow it gets changed on the other end.
okay.
And this, the one I'm presenting to you, this is Mass State bid pricing.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Bob. Are there any other questions from any other committee members? Tim, are you good?
Not a question, I just have a general comment, because what I could not find was when we did our final report last year, what did we have for a final dollar amount in capital? I know it was not much.
Oh, you mean what actually went to town meeting for after everything was over?
Yeah,
Or-
because we had recommended
Oh, we recommended quite a bit.
quite a bit. We had quite a bit we didn't. We
That's-
recommended 471, 637 and 88 cents
That's actually
out of
something,
a $2.8 million totals request, but I know we didn't start with
no,
anywhere near that.
no,
I understand the intent of what we're doing, but
yeah,
these are coming in. We're trying to do this as a supplemental. I don't know if there's anything to supplement it with. That's my concern.
right, I agree with that. I think that that's something that we should look at for including in the report in the future is what happened with last year's capital so that we
Yeah.
can start keeping track of that because it does get confused. Because from a look back perspective, we're doing all these things, but what is actually passing on the floor? We've never really kept track like that in the reports. So
Right.
that is something we should do so that way we can start knowing for certain what we're checking off. But no, I agree with you on that. In terms of a supplemental on this, I mean, I agree. We did talk about it with a different number during the FY 25 report. This is the FY 25 period that this is going forward. So in terms of, I mean, we've been presented this again. We can talk about it more after with our recommendations afterward, but I understand where you're coming from on that. Why do a supplemental on something that you've already been presented for, even though the numbers changed because the quote's been updated.
And that does happen. I understand that.
Right.
Welcome to the real world.
Okay. Danielle, do you have anything further to add?
No.
No? Okay. Bob, thank you for being here this evening.
You don't need me for anything else?
No, unless you want to stay and see what we do, but you did present to us, so you were all set with that.
Okay,
So you're
very
good to go.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bob. All right. I think what we'll do is after we do vote, we'll talk about what we're gonna do with issuing the supplemental. So, Jeff, if you want to come up here and talk about the sewer roof.
Sure. Good afternoon.
Hello.
So back in 2021, I had submitted a capital request form. I thought it was for design and replace, and apparently I only put design after looking at it, which is my fault. So the design has been done. Now we want to move forward with the replacement. And we like to be able to pursue the article. That's tomorrow night.
Yeah. So just as a little background for the committee members, I know Jeff had reached out a couple weeks ago. And asked if he needed to present again. Looking at it was either the 2021 or 2022 report. The way it was reported, and I didn't have time to go back and look at that specific file. We had done it as if for the full, as if we had been presented for not just the engineering work, but for the roof replacement as well. so that's what I had told Jeff, but I did tell Jeff, talk with the town administrator if you think you need to come back and present this, because now this is going on the town meeting warrant. That's something that we could talk about. And then Adam had suggested that you send this in with the information, so,
The form I sent in didn't have replace on it.
right.
I had design. I guess it's taken time to go through all that because we had the engineers that, I think you and Adam. And then
That was early in 2022.
right, and then my board wanted to have our engineers also put a price in to do it. So that took some time, because they both had to come out and look at the roof or whatever. And then, they decided to go with Kleinfelder, our normal engineers. And at that time, then we waited for special town meeting or one of the town meetings to appropriate retained earnings.
Yeah.
And then when the design got done, we were just after town meeting, so. It's been slowly progressing, it's
Mhm.
just. Been a few waits. But we're ready to move along with it. Basically.
Is there anything further on your submission that you want to highlight, Jeff, or?
I don't know what the fundings are for each of the fiscal years, because I don't know. Adam hasn't gone for the funding yet.
Right.
So I don't know how much it'll be each year or whatever. But I mean, other than that, the roof's in rough shape, rotting underneath. I've been there a long time and I've never seen it not leak. And some days, if we have enough rain, it actually puts the ceiling tiles on the floor. In the ladies' room, the lab, Ryan's office. Because it basically, depending on the wind drives the rain, it goes under the existing level roof, it leaks in all the other leaks everywhere, so it needs to be replaced.
I'll open it up to the floor for discussion. Do any committee members have any comments or questions on this one?
Not a question. I know, again, the dollar value's gone up, but unfortunately, time doesn't work in our favor every time we delay a project. I do remember doing the design,
Yeah,
the 2022, the year I was the chair of the select board. We, at the MMA conference, one of the firms we dropped our business cards and there were so many hours of their time. That was one of the first design folks that came out. That was all part of an orchestrated plan, but
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, we have a project. We could probably put you to work.
yeah. Yeah, and that's estimated on the high side, obviously.
Tim, do you have anything else, or?
No, I mean, that's a sound management, the estimate does need to be a little high. God forbid we have a change order or increase in building materials and
Yeah.
find something else as you start ripping it apart and it's like you're stuck, you gotta go.
I haven't been on the roof. I went up there once and never again. Too high for me.
Duly noted.
I just see what comes through the roof.
Danielle, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
No, okay. I don't have any questions or comments, other than, just to clarify, the funding for this would be sewer enterprise would be, over time funding this after it goes out to bid and after, the debt
Right, Adam was
schedule's
gonna
out.
do borrowing for
Right.
this and Claudia Ave together,
Okay,
one borrowing, basically.
yeah. Okay.
That I don't know nothing about.
No, that's fine. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Jeff, is there anything else that you'd like to add, or are you all set?
I think I'm all set.
Okay,
Like I said,
Um,
it was supposed to be in the first one. That's my mistake.
Yep. Nope.
It's just to fix it.
well, thank you, Jeff. The committee will consider this, but, thank you for being here tonight.
I thank you.
All right, so now that we have gone through both of these presentations, we need to talk about what our possible action is on them and what we want to do, if we want to do a supplemental or not. Do we want to start with so item number 2, just to wrap back around to Tim's comment. Until seeing this again and realizing that we had gotten it granted with a different number back actually during FY25 planning.
Yep.
I mean, we were presented tonight, could it be mentioned on the supplemental, but do we need to offer any recommendations? We had I can't remember, did we recommend to do it before previously? I believe
We did not.
we did not, okay. Do we want to give a recommendation on it? I mean, I know at this point it's going to town meeting floor. I mean, it's already gone through the selectmen, it's been added onto the warrant, the warrant's been signed and sealed, so I don't know what we want to do.
I do have our report that went to the select board in September.
Right,
The requests, so we had a lot of discussions, but we never did pin down the recommendations were to go to the fall town meeting warrant.
right,
And there was the recommendation that went forward to the select board for the one dump truck, not the
Right.
2. And, you know, also it's still hinging on what is the state going to change? And I know there's a big change on the regulations on the trucks, and that has gone really, really interesting timelines wise.
right. So,
My biggest concern, again, I don't have it in our report from last year, and shame on us, we didn't all put it together. But
Right.
what did we have at the end of the day? Because now we're getting supplemental requests. I don't even know if we have anything to apply the request to. And then we haven't had a budget versus actual report since
in
the
like
end
at
of,
least 2 months.
since the end of July. So, you know, I can interpolate, but
Right.
I don't know what the answers are on all of that either right now, because it's just, sure, you want to say, yes, let's give everybody everything, but the reality is that's not going to happen.
Right. So what am I thinking of? So in terms of this request, at least for the mower, which is listed as tractor on the town meeting
Yep.
warrant. I mean, we could go with the same way that we did with Parks and Recreation's recommendation, where we don't offer anything. We didn't do anything last year with it. I don't know, what are you thinking, Danielle? What's your perspective on it?
Well, I was just gonna go off of what you just said, how the Rex was already on town meeting warrant and we just.
And we elected not, right, we had
Correct.
elected not to do anything with it, really, because
Right.
at that point. It was moving forward. I would say, I mean, the town meeting will ultimately make a decision anyway, but I would say maybe we leave it, you know. We did it with the one in September, let's leave it the same on this one. That's just my perspective, but I agree with your point, and actually to go into number 3. Without having, I mean, we haven't had budget versus actuals, we haven't had any real. Major finance updates since we no longer have a town accountant, so I don't know. You know, how well is sewer department doing? We're about to go to town floor and authorize them to borrow. And. Which is fine. You know, town meeting will ultimately make that decision, but I agree. I mean,
Was this actually borrowing if it's the retained earnings that we're looking to tag?
my understanding is that it would be a borrowing under the town's name, and then it would be reflected on the debt schedule, and then similar to I'd have to look at the debt schedule again, but there's other projects that they have done that are reflected on it.
Yep.
And then sewer reimburses us through its I believe it would be through its retained earnings.
And since this roof is already on the warrant,
Right,
I don't know that we actually have to take an action tonight.
right,
Because it's already been front loaded for tomorrow night's meeting.
right? Cart before the horse. So I think we're kind of in the same situation with both of them. Danielle, I don't know, what are you thinking?
I totally agree.
Okay.
The mower is a little bit of a sticky wicket because it wasn't presented and it was the bill. Parks and Rec went forward, but we didn't do a buildings and ground.
Right, we didn't receive, right. This one that you have in your packet, I had looked through dozens and dozens of emails. I did not receive this back then. I had finally gotten it when I had sent it out to all of you a couple of weeks ago when Bob had resent it out. So I don't know what happened with that. And then, of course, with the sewer department, when the discussion on the mower came up, that is when the discussion came up about sewer presenting, which that's how we got to this point. So I would be inclined if somebody wanted to move that we don't make a recommendation on either of these, given that they're on the fall town meeting warrant, and have it be like that. I don't know if somebody wants to.
I would take that on, and I would also add, that they are already on the meeting warrant, and
Right.
again, we don't know what we're starting with.
Right, I know that, in terms of free cash, I'd have to look. I believe in the free cash plan that was given to the selectmen at their last meeting. I believe it did already take into account, it itemized out the special town meeting articles that we would be doing tomorrow night. Free cash certified is free cash certified for the fiscal year, but obviously as we spend down from it at each town meeting, that reduces it. I'd have to talk with the town administrator on what number we're actually going to end up working with, which after tomorrow night would be a good point to know what we're actually using for FY 25's or FY 26's planning, because right now we're just kind of spending money before we even have a plan for it, unfortunately.
And,
Which is not a good strategy.
and we did this about 6 weeks ago with the select board. It was the same thing. It's like, well, we're looking at this, free cash. Wait a minute, the back of the dinner napkin math here.
Right.
We're taking big chunks out of this, and we don't even know if we have it yet, because that was still an anticipated number. It had not yet been certified.
Free cash is certified, right?
Yeah, it is now.
It is now, but, right. But every dollar of free cash that we spend now is money that we do not have for what's about to happen in the next few weeks. So
Correct.
that's just something to keep in mind. So I guess I'll repeat again, if anyone would like to make a motion to make no recommendation on the mower and tractor for buildings and grounds and for the wastewater treatment plant roof replacement, due to them being on the fall town meeting warrant.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All right, is there any further discussion on the motion? Going once, going twice, going 3 times, we'll go to the vote. Mr. Toth, how do you vote?
I vote yes, that we support the proposal as presented.
All right, Ms. Kirby?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That passed unanimously. 3-0. All right, I can issue out a supplemental discussing the discussion that including the discussion that we just had here. Very similar to the one that I issued out, if everyone's comfortable with the format that I did a couple of weeks ago. And the way that style was presented, unless anyone's got any major updates with that they want to do. No, okay. If everyone's comfortable with that, then I would ask for a motion for me to issue for the chairman to issue a supplemental report on these 2 items tonight.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Does anyone have any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we will go to the vote. Mr. Toth, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Kirby?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That was 3-0. That passed unanimously. All right, so we are done with our business tonight. I will make sure that that supplemental actually goes out this evening, and I'll do exactly what I did last time. Making sure that advisory to town clerk and selectman's office gets copies of that. we are on to committee member comments. Tim, do you have any comments for this evening?
No, just a general observation. This is my third or fourth trip on the Capital Improvements Committee, having sat in your seat as the chair at one point and working through, and I just don't remember seeing supplementals come in quite some time.
No.
This is,
No.
I won't say it's uncharted water, because I guess if we go back a few years, it did occur, but
This is the second year in a row we've had to do a supplemental. Up until a year ago, we never did. Like,
Yep.
the last year was my first one that I had to like look at and say, no, we need to issue this.
Yep.
And I don't even know if we've ever done two in a row like this, so I am a little concerned. So, do you have any other comments, Tim? I know I just.
no, I
jumped in
think
there.
it's just, it's incumbent on us, just like it is the advisory committee. We need to be sharpening our pencils and really paying attention to all of this, because there's so much uncertainty still ahead of us.
Right.
But the one thing that I will bet a dollar against is we're gonna see prices continue to go up.
Yes, well, we're gonna find out what the quotes are next week because we have another meeting next week, so, yeah. Danielle, do you have any comments?
No.
No. Tim, I just kind of jumped. Are you good?
I'm good.
You're good,
I'm good.
okay. I have no other comments, just a reminder to the committee members that we do have a meeting next week on Tuesday, same place, same time at 4:30 PM. And that's when we are starting our regular committee presentations on our regular schedule. Tim, I just want to ask you real quick, are you okay with changing the meeting date on election night of 11:05 to 11:19? Did you see that email that I had sent you?
I just got into my email at noon today. I'm
Okay.
reading through hundreds of emails back to March of this year.
Okay.
So I'm not through everything yet.
So I will talk with you briefly after the meeting so that we can figure that out. I just wanted to bring that up, that we may be changing our meeting date of 11:05 from 11:05 just because the Secretary of State's office advises on a state election year, not
Yeah,
typically have meetings on that, which I didn't think about. So that'll be more to be discussed. Other than that, I have no other comments for this evening. I thank all the committee members for being here tonight. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
All right, and I will second that. We're gonna go straight to the vote. Mr. Toth, how do you vote?
Yes.